Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm glad to hear this Monday morning as we get started this week. The amazing thing about today is the last day of August. Can you believe tomorrow is going to be September the 1st? So we're going to wrap up August. So we want to, it's been an interesting month. All kind of interesting things have happened, and hopefully September will just get a little bit better. So let's start with our weather. High 85 and low 76. It's been that range for a good while now. Water temperature still around 86 degrees, coming in off the end of the pier. Okay, now our moon phase brought to us by Mountain Dew. Our Monday moon phase, folks, we got a full moon. It's sort of split. Full moon tonight and tomorrow night. It looks like on different charts, but we're at a full moon. So now remember, it's going to start waning on out. The moon phase is, it really affects it. And this next couple of days, it might be slow today or tomorrow, but in the next couple of days, as you get ready for the end of the week fishing or getting out in the woods, you're going to start seeing some natural activity. Looking at a tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn here on 23rd Street. We're looking at decent, really good tides today. We've had them 3 or 4 days, and we'll get ready for our September tide chart coming up tomorrow. The marine forecast, we still get some effect. We still have that strong wind coming at south-southwest at about 10 to 15. So a good thing about that, it keeps the bugs away, keep those insects from getting out there and flying and getting on you. So they've had a healthy month of August. We've had some really good outbreaks of mosquitoes, or bad outbreaks of mosquitoes with all the rain we've had. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, just a couple of quick pictures to show you. Then we're going to get into I'm talking about bow fishing. But again, this is most of my stuff local. This picture here, this is a commercial fisherman that got a hook in them like that. So that was a big hook, and they actually got Coast Guard. The Coast Guard station came in and got him off the boat and flew him in. So that's a serious situation, a hook that big. That's one of those commercial hooks. And the second picture, again, this is local, natural. This is a rattlesnake bite, and I won't go over all the details. Prayers needed for my son John. Was bitten by a rattlesnake this morning while weeding around his house. They took him to 231 emergency room. It was wonderful. Okay, so here's a picture of the snake right there. Remember, we talked last week about rattlesnakes are really moving around this time of year. Okay, now let's talk about, I wanted to show you, I brought this in bow fishing. This is a kit. Now, I talked about how I used to do a lot of bow fishing and very enjoyable. And we sort of rigged up, we had an open reel. We didn't reel it in, we just shoot. And we were shooting gar from the railroad track trestle for a long time. That was a lot of fun. And bow fishing is a lot of fun, but you can get the whole kit. This is Muzzy, a brand name Muzzy. I've met these folks at the COPA conferences several times. Good folks, a good product. You put this reel on it, and then it has a line, and it's a really great setup, and it's easy to use. It's just a classic setup there. So bow fishing this time of year is a lot of fun, and you always want some spare arrows. Okay, so always have a couple of spare arrows, because sometimes you're going to lose them unless you got some really tough lines. So this bow fishing is something you might want to get into. I actually pulled up some pictures of this lady doing it, and what it is, it's just a kind of fun. I'm going to just show you. Let's see right here. I looked up some tips of what you get some good glassy water, so get good sunglasses, because what that does, again, that breaks the sunlight block, and then you can see what's underwater. Most of y'all know that. Most of y'all have good sunglasses, but don't get those cheap pair. And then the other thing they said, pick the right tip. So you want to kind of tip that, and they, they're shooting the same kind of fish we shot. You want to kind of tip that's going to penetrate. That skin is so tough on these carp and gar, and remember the grass carp. Now they're going to die in. They have no life. They have a long lifespan. They will not reproduce. So don't feel guilty about shooting a carp, because you're not going to hurt the population. Keep your tip sharp. you will dull it hitting different things and all. So that's another tip. Make sure you keep it sharp. And then you see some of the fish this young lady has right here, and you see her out. You see the outfit right there, that bow, and it's a muzzy bow. I mean, a muzzy bow fishing outfit. And of course, you can see the carp and all, and that's fun fishing. And learn to scout the area out good. And this young lady here has done a really good job. And this is called snap shooting. This is when you I call it instinctive shooting, where you just pull back and shoot. You don't really have time to aim. You just sort of pull it back and shoot. And that's on a creek. That's the kind of area we used to shoot from also, right along the creek bank. And you can shoot down there. So what they call snap shooting, I call instinctive shooting, okay? So anyway, bow fishing is an outdoor activity that's a lot of fun. You can enjoy doing it. And it keeps you, if you're an archer, it sort of keeps your skills sharp. And it doesn't cost much to get into it. If you have a bow, you don't have a bow, it's going to cost a little bit to get the bow, but that's just something, a lot of fun. Okay, we're going to take our break and come back for this video. Okay, welcome back. A lot of times we like to, we always talked about talking to old timers, and especially family members. And this video here is Gail's Aunt Alice, our Aunt Alice, and Alice Bell, and she grew up some in Apalachicola, and later on when they lived in Quincy, and later on when she married, they actually built a house on St. George Island. You heard me talk about it before, the Bell College. It was old Jim Walter shell, and they built it. And it's still standing on the Gulf of Mexico. I think they built it in 1961. It's been through all those storms. But the important part about this is Aunt Alice herself. What a charming, wonderful, sweet lady. And I just sat down, and we were down there, and I told Gail I wanted to interview her. So we just sat down, rolled the camera, family sort of around, and she just tells this story. So it's going to give you insight into the early years of the St. George Island era. And now she loved fishing. I told Gail, I said, if you had to describe her, what would you say? She said she loved her family, she was a great cook, and she loved fishing. And she was a natural fisherman. But listen to her describe fishing in those days on St. George Island, how special it was. This is one of my all-time favorite interviews. So Jeff, let's roll this. Folks, we're on the eastern end of our viewing area. We're on St. George Island. Now, it's been here quite some time, of course, and you just saw a whole row of houses down here, but we're at one of the original old beach houses built on St. George Island, and there's a lot of good fishing down here, and we're going to interview the family. This is some of our family here, and we're going to talk to them about the early days fishing down here, and then some of the early fish they caught, and how this house was actually built. They built this house actually before the bridge was built, but now it's just wall-to-wall homes. But it's a beautiful place down here on St. George Island. Great place to come and vacation, and they vacation each year down here. And we're going to go inside and talk to Aunt Alice Bell. All right, folks, we're inside the beach house now, and I want to introduce you to a beautiful young lady, Aunt Alice Bell. Now, she was born, where were you born?
I was born in Hazelhurst, Georgia, but I only lived there 6 months, and I moved to Statesboro, Georgia. I lived there till I was in the 2nd grade. Then I moved to Bradenton, Florida.
Okay.
And from Bradenton, Florida, I moved to Apalachicola.
Okay.
And from Apalachicola, I moved to Quincy. But while I was in Apalachicola, I learned about St. George Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I don't think you mind. What year were you born in, Alice?
I was born January the 29th, 1917.
1917, so...
I'm 90 years old.
All right, that's great. Now, you lived in Apalachicola a lot while you were growing up. When you were young, you lived in Apalachicola some, right?
I lived there from the 4th grade through the 10th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you moved up to Quincy.
Then I moved to Quincy. I married in 1938.
Okay. Now, you and Uncle Todd built a house on St. George Island.
We had what they called a shell house. We had a man to build a shell house, and every bit was ferried over. That's when the ferry ran. It would only hold 9 cars and went twice a day. It took 45 minutes to cross. And if you didn't get on over there, you didn't get on. They just left you.
So you put in at East Point?
East Point.
And come across to the ferry. So it was a late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
Now, y'all finished building a house on St. George Island.
That's right.
Todd
did the inside. He had the shell part built, and then he did the inside himself. And he had a man to do the ceiling and different parts, of course.
How many houses were built on the island?
About 9 houses were here when we built.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your early days, y'all could get on the beach and catch a lot of fish?
We had a Jeep then, and you could ride from one end of St. George Island to the cut. And so we would start out in the morning and find a good fishing hole. If we didn't like where we were, we'd move on. If somebody else was fishing and catching fish, we'd stop. And also, if we was fishing and catching fish, they'd stop.
What?
And we'd go up to the east end. And that's where we'd get lots of crabs up there, too. We'd get a wash tub full of crabs.
What kind of fish did y'all catch?
We caught pompano, we caught redfish, we caught Spanish mackerel.
Yeah.
And out front, if you wanted to fish with shrimp, you could catch whiting. And also, we caught lots of flounders. At times, you could catch flounders up at the cut, just at the man put out.
You told me one time about a story about y'all catching a lot of redfish. Tell me that story again.
Well, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, we would come down here and fish. They liked to fish too. And we went up to the cut in the worst day, cold day, raining. And nobody else would have fished but us. But every time we threw out, we got a redfish. They weren't great big ones, but they were. We didn't have a place to clean them. Then we cleaned them on the side right out here on a plank. Yeah, but we really caught the fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've caught as many as 100 trout at one time.
Wow.
My mother always looked for fish when I got home after a weekend. She expected to have fish, which she usually did. Yeah. It was an interesting time down here. There were wild turkey over here, wild pigs over here.
What kind of, when y'all fished, what kind of bait did y'all use most of the time?
Well, I like a lure, and I like a Mr. Champ was one of my favorite lures, and this narrow lure, I use it. Now, for pompano, we would tip the narrow lure with sand flea and bump it on the bottom, you know, and if you wanted to catch shrimp, you could use shrimp if you wanted to, yeah. And sometimes we would even tip a narrow lure with shrimp, yeah, and slowly drag it. They get a flounder that way.
You knew some of the Apalachicola families. Who were some of the families in Apalachicola?
That I knew, the Marshalls, and the Hoffmans, and the let's see, the Whitesides.
And the Bloodworth, didn't you know that?
Bloodworth, yeah.
Yeah, they used to play a lot of baseball.
Yeah, my brother and James Bloodworth were in the same baseball league at one time, and he kept up with him, same age, yeah. The way I got to Apalachicola was a man from Bradenton was Mr. Roberts. was from there, and he told my daddy, he said, they don't have a lawyer but one lawyer at Apalachicola. But we found out that's all they needed there. There wasn't any business. Then we had a revival with Dr. Vines, and he said, Mr. Dial, I don't have a lawyer in my church, and Mr. Watson has just died. I think there's a good place. So we moved to Quincy. In a year, my daddy ran for county judge and got it. And a very close race. So I've been there ever since.
Yeah. When you came down here and fished, what was the best month of the year to fish in?
For fishing,
Yeah.
depends on what you're going to catch. Starting in the last of March, in 1st of April, pompano. Around November, the redfish are good, yeah. And I'd say June, April and June. May and June are real good fishing. Is that what you found out to be? Well, one of the things that we used to get, Todd, my husband, liked fish roe. And so at October, the mullet come in, and we'd go buy paddle seal, maybe 20 pounds or 30 pounds of mullet, try to get the ones with the fish roe in it. So I appreciate it, fix it. So.
Yeah.
But that's one thing his favorite fish was mullet. Every place we'd go, he'd say, "Is it fresh?" Because if mullet's not fresh, it's not good.
What's the biggest change you've seen down here over the years?
Down here, restrictions on what you can do. You can't ride on the beach anymore. And it's commercialized. And that's all people are interested in now, is making money down here.
In the early days when y'all first came down here, everybody just come down here to fish?
We came down here to fish. We'd start in the morning, fish, we'd come home and eat, take a nap and go back and fish again. I had a friend, Mr. Fat May, he said, now if Alice says come eat, you better eat, because you might not get anything for a while because she's gonna be fishing.
That's good.
He used to come with us and lie out in the sun. He didn't like to fish much.
Yeah.
But I did. I liked to fish.
Yeah.
I would work at it just like a man.
How could you find fish? How'd you look for them?
How can you find fish? Well, you look for a place with a deep hole between a sandbar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And though it has to be a certain amount of movement on the water, it can't be calm like it is now.
Yeah.
You don't catch any fish now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to write a book on fishing.
Well, I really enjoyed fishing. I'm like Mr. Ben Smith. If this house blew away tomorrow, I've had my enjoyment out of it. Yeah.
Aunt Alice, you lived for 90 years. You're 90 years old. What do you contribute to living to be 90 years old? What's your secrets?
The good Lord looking after me. That's all I can say.
Well, I want to thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah. One thing I can say, I guess, I know, living a long time, I had such a good husband, and he kept me straight.
All right, very good. I'm here on St. George Island and Alice Bell. Okay, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that. What a special lady, just full of grace and just a wonderful lady. She was a great cook, but that was just what a flashback into look into that era, and we don't get that kind of stuff anymore. So, you know, she said about it, people want to be making money now instead of enjoying the island, and you see that. all over the Panhandle, on the coast especially. Let's look at our fishing game times. Brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers. We're only looking at one time, 11:42 to 1:42. You just tell your boss that you need a 2-hour lunch a day. It's Monday, you've had a hard weekend, and you want a 2-hour lunch to go fishing because that's the fishing game times. And I'm sure he'll let you do it. Tell him Coach Chester asked that favor for you. September starts tomorrow, and as always, I'd like to make what we're going to do this month of September, all kind of to-do list. And I wrote down, I started writing last night. It was real easy. I wrote down 12, just like that, boom, 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 boom. 12 things to do in September. I may not get to finish all of them, but one of the first things I wrote down, cast net. If you've enjoyed doing that, this is a month to throw your cast net. The mullet are getting fat and filling out after all the food they've eaten this summer. So cast netting 1, and number 2, catfishing. You've seen the picture of the catfish, and this is a good month, especially with that falling water like they had on the Choctawhatchee over the weekend. Catfishing is really good. You can go catch them over there with a pole and some dog food. Number 3, now let's jump from fishing to out in the woods. Number 3 would be food plot. And no matter what level you are with your property or land management, your food plot, you got to start paying attention to it, especially now. We're getting into September, and the food plot is very, very important. Along with the food plot, the next one will be the cameras. Make sure you got your cameras tuned up. Make sure you got them at the right angle. A lot of times you can get them knocked loose and everything. So that was 4. Number 5, this is the time of year to go floundering. If you like to flounder gig, September and October are 2 of the best months to go at night. So flounder gigging, and I see my time running out. So I have 12. I got through 5. So we'll try to finish these up tomorrow, but well, let's go and get one more so we get half of them. Number 6 was crabbing. We talked about that. The crabs are really full this time of year. You can see the commercial crab people out there. Got to wrap it up. You have a great day today. Do something good for your fellow man. Enjoy the great outdoors, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.